Hello, welcome to the program. Russian troops are retreating from Kyiv after bombarding the city for weeks. Canada's ambassador to Ukraine has returned to the country's capital. The embassy there had closed down before Russia's invasion. Since the war began, consular services have been provided largely out of Poland. While that's still the case today, some staff, including the ambassador, are back in Kyiv, where the Canadian flag is once again flying over the embassy. I spoke with the ambassador on Friday. Ambassador, thank you for making the time. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
You've been back for about a week or so. I just want to start with what it feels like to be back in the capital, in Kyiv.
Well, first, let me say it's great to be back here to do the work that ambassadors do in capitals, talking to their interlocutors, talking to high-level government officials, talking to civil society activists. It's been really good, and the people that we need to see are here. But it has also definitely felt different. The city isn't full of life like usual, and there are barricades, there are sandbags in front of the main buildings. The beautiful foreign ministry I walked in the other day, you have to do the chicane, there's lots of sandbags and very heavily armed presence there. So that you see that around the city. At the same time, there is life. There are flowers, there are birds. It's summer here now, and there are some people. I feel like every day there's more life coming back to the streets, but it's really this juxtaposition of the very normal with the extremely abnormal.
Well, I did want to ask you a little bit about some of the destruction, the extent of destruction you've seen, certainly when you were with the Prime Minister last week in Irpin. Just if you can give us a sense of how big it is and how surprising it is to you.
It's big. It's a whole destroyed town.
Yeah.
So there are high rises burnt out, schools bombed out, play structures and signs shot out, all kinds of pockmarks and fences. I stood over a crater, so who knows what hit that? It is fully and totally destroyed in those towns on the outskirts of Kyiv. And I've seen that before. I've been to some other war zones, and I've been to the east of the country several times, to Donbass, and I'm used to. I've seen it there. I expect it there when I go there. But coming in on the train from the west, to suddenly be almost in Kyiv and seeing this was it was hard.
Yeah. Let's talk about the state of embassy operations and consular help right now in Kyiv. I understand it's not fully back and in place. Can you give us a sense of when it will be and I guess what you are hoping to be able to do once it is fully reopened and staffed?
So, like all the embassies that are back in Kyiv, we are all taking it one step at a time. So we're prioritizing right now that political and diplomatic work that needs to be done, and in time those services will come back. But right now, I have to tell you that our consular presence in Poland is actually in a better place than in Kyiv. The consular help that we're providing is for Canadians who are trying to cross the border but maybe need a travel document or an identity document or something. And it's actually easier to help them from the other side of the border than it would be from Kyiv. So in terms of the immigration services, all of that's online, and a very large biometrics center in Warsaw has been set up. A large processing capacity is headquartered out of Warsaw, and that's the main place where people will go in order to fly to Canada. So it also is in a really good place, as well as other places in the region, in Romania and elsewhere.
You talked about the work that you were doing, the political and diplomatic work. How critical is it for you to be there right now and having those conversations directly with Ukrainian politicians and intelligence officials? And are you then sort of taking that information and funneling it back to Canada?
Yeah, it's classic diplomacy. Absolutely. There's lots that we can read in other people's reports and in the media, but the kind of information that you pick up when you sit down one-on-one, and Canada has amazing access in Kyiv. And the week has been absolutely fascinating. We've been going flat out with these meetings and picking up a lot of a lot of good information, a lot of good insights and ideas that are really important from the Prime Minister right on down, as they have their discussions with like-minded countries, with and others in how our future support will flow for Ukraine.
There was some criticism, as you know, about closing the embassy, not just for Canada, but other nations as well. Do you think it would have been possible to continue operating, or was it not even? No.
No, and I'll tell you that even in the last days that we were here, we were doing nothing but looking at the security situation.
Right.
So we would have sure been here, but we would have been solely focused on that. We left. We went to Poland, and I think it's actually it was good that we were there, because within a few days of the war, the international humanitarian community sort of descended on that town, and these people came from all over the world, from all kinds of other war contexts, but they didn't know Ukraine. And so we as ambassadors and our staffs, we really took it upon ourselves to make sure that they knew what the context was here, that it wasn't, the government was still functioning, there wasn't a failed state, there was infrastructure, there were logistics changes, there were people on the inside who could help them, and it's not a context in which these humanitarian agencies were used to operating in. So I feel that we were very, very well placed at that moment for those first sort of 4 to 6 weeks when that effort was being stood up, to inform it and to help it go as best it could.
As you said, you've visited Donbass. You've been the ambassador since 2019. You know, a lot of people obviously sort of lived on the edge of concern that some sort of further invasion would happen, because Ukrainians, as you know, like to remind us that this has been an ongoing invasion, an escalation of events with Russia. Do you feel like Canada was doing enough to prevent this from happening? Certainly we had a presence on the ground with soldiers, and we're doing a lot of training, but did this country do enough to prevent it from happening?
We've had sanctions on Russia for all the time of the war. We have trained the Ukrainian armed forces. I don't think there was anyone who could stop Putin doing what Putin did, given the frame of mind that we all expect him to be in. He wasn't believing history. He wasn't logical. He wasn't rational. He isn't rational. So I don't know how one prevents that.
You took the flag down when you left the embassy in February, and you've said you had it close to you after you left, and you wanted to raise it when you returned. You did that with the Prime Minister of Canada. I wonder what that was like for you, that moment.
It was great. I knew it would be great, but it's actually even better. It felt really good. I did carry it with me, and I insisted the same one go back up, and to have it put up by the Prime Minister, flanked by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister. It was, I think, an especially powerful statement of what this country means to Canada and to Canadians, and just how committed we are to this fight that they're in.
Okay, Ambassador, nice to meet you. Glad you're back there safely. Thanks.
Thank you very much.